Good afternoon, Club 17. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Cincinnati, and we're so glad that you are here. Welcome to those of you who are on Zoom. We will begin our program today with the Cincinnati Police Honor Guard with the presentation of colors, followed by the National Anthem, which will be directed by Steve King. Next, we will have the invocation and four-way test by Nancy Reese.
Please join me in prayer. Gracious God, thank you for the precious gift of today. We are grateful for spring and the hope of warmer, longer, brighter days. Thank you for the reminder of this renewal time that spring brings. We are excited and look forward to all of your goodness in this spring season. Refresh us. Invite us to discover your presence in each person we meet and every experience that we encounter today. When our day goes well, may we rejoice. When it grows difficult, surprise us with new possibilities. Today, as we recognize members of our Cincinnati Police Department for their service to our community, We ask you to watch over all police and law enforcement officers who protect the innocent and fight deception. Keep them safe from harm in the performance of their duties. Give them your protection each and every day because their duty is often dangerous. Provide your unending strength and courage to them in their daily assignments. Protect these brave men and women who every day live our Rotary motto of service above self until they are safely with their families after duty has ended. Also, God, we ask you to guide, protect, and support the people of Stepping Stones for all the wonderful services they provide that allow their clients to find pathways to independence that enable them to be more fully participating members of our wonderful community. We ask all these things in your name. Amen. And now for our four-way test of the things we think, say, and do as Rotarians. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you.
You may be seated. Next, we will have our Sergeant at Arms today, Bill Stilley, who will introduce and welcome our special guests, who will be followed by our office manager, Christy Shushek. Christy will give us an update regarding membership database and billing dues. So first we'll have Bill Stilley and then Christy Shushek.
Again, welcome to Cincinnati Rotary Club 17, the 17th oldest Rotary Club in the known universe. I would like to welcome special guests and potential members, and as I say your name, if you would, please stand up so that we could recognize you. Stephen Custenborder is a guest of Mark Reckman, and he is with Wood Lamping. We have a special guest today, Jeff Ray. Jeff is a retired Cincinnati police officer, and in 2014 was a Cincinnati Rotary Club awardee. He helped to make a major drug bust, one of the largest in the area, and when he retired was assigned to the DEA in the drug department. And we're really glad that you're here today, Jeff. Thank you so much. Visiting us from the Dayton Rotary Club is Rhonda Stargill. Welcome, Rhonda.
I don't get to do this much. So Monday or Tuesday, look at your email and be expecting your invoices for the upcoming dues for the July through December Rotary billing period. Earlier this week, we sent out an email from DACDB asking you to update your login information, create new passwords, update any information in your profile. DACDB is a new system that we're transferring over to from Club Runner and through our antiquated Peachtree financial system. So we're hoping that DACDB makes it a lot easier by combining everything all into one application. So if you have any questions or don't receive your invoice Monday or Tuesday, give me a call, send me an email, and I will make sure that you get it. I didn't show pictures of the invoices, did I? Okay. Yeah. I'm going to run down and just put up a picture of the invoices for you to see.
Let's give Christy a round of applause. She was a little nervous about making the announcement. We're doing some things a little bit differently, and I told her she's the one who's over that part of it. She's been working very feverishly, she and Sarah, and so I wanted her to be able to make the announcement of what she's been working on. So she did a great job. And this is what your invoices will look like on the new system. You see how Christy has there, and there are several different ones that she shows. So when you see that, you will see that is the invoice of the year for the first 6 months. And also, Christy mentioned that some of us like to pay for the membership at one time. She said just multiply times 2 and then add that amount to it if you want to make the payment for the full year. There's very important information, she said, in the notes section down at the bottom. And so this is with the new DAC-DB system. This will also include, if any of you are interested in the ActiveFlex new model that President-elect Steve King mentioned last week, and there's information in the E-Raise about that. If you're interested in that and have any questions, just contact the office or any of the board members. So let's give the office staff a round of applause for this new change. Next, we have 3 new member introductions. Before we do that, I'd like to thank everyone who attended the meet and greet on Tuesday. If you attended the meet and greet on Tuesday, raise your hand or stand up. It was really a great affair. So thank you all so much for coming, and thank Sarah and Christy for all of the work that they did putting it together. Our 2 co-hosts and facilitators for the meet and greet were Ken Manges and Matt Nephew. And Ken Manges has been a member of the Rotary Club of Cincinnati since 1980. And Matt Nephew is a new member, 2022. And that was the purpose of the meet and greet, especially since we've missed some meetings this year and how we've processed through COVID and the 2 variants. So it was a very well-attended meeting, and thank you all for coming. With that, before we bring up our 3 new members, Nancy Reese is going to give just a brief announcement on a Women in Rotary upcoming event. Nancy, you good?
Thank you, President Melinda. So how many of you could use a timeout? Yeah, I think a bunch of us could. In case you haven't heard about it yet, our Women in Wellness organization or committee is having a wellness event on Saturday, the 21st of May. I'm hosting it at our house. It's an oasis this time of the year. It's green, it's beautiful, lots of trees. And Tanya Musa, one of our Rotarians, is going to do a little bit of yoga with us, and then I'm going to be doing a vision board exercise. We're going to share lunch and then practice breathing, so when we go home, we're all like, Now, a lot of people have asked me what a vision board is. So I brought one of my latest vision boards. It's basically a picture of what I want in my life in the next 1 month or 1 week to the years. And one of my favorite things about this one that I brought is I just put a bunch of pictures on the back of places I would like to experience. And within a year, I'd already gone to 5 of them. And 4 of them weren't even planned when I saw these things. So dreams really do come true. So I encourage you, give yourself that time out, take that 4 hours on the 21st and come be well with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy, for that announcement and for hosting, and the Women in Rotary, Amanda Forsey and Mary Smiley, for your work in planning this event. The 3 Rotarians who will introduce new members are Brett LaBar, Jim Neidhart, and Ed Mathis. If you and the new members would come forward, we will introduce our 3 new members. Let's give them a round of applause. 3 new members is great.
I can tell I'm out of shape when I start breathing hard just walking up to the podium. It gives me a lot of pleasure today to introduce Andrea Tall. Andrea is a brand new corporate member from First Commonwealth Bank, and she is a native originally of the Bristol, Tennessee area and got her bachelor's degree at East Tennessee State University and got a master's degree at the University of Kentucky. And she and her husband decided about 15 years ago, even though they had no particular connection here, to move to Cincinnati and start their life together. He is a UC alum. His name is Sheck. And they have 2 children, a 6-year-old daughter named Mimi and a 5-year-old son named Sonny. And that keeps them pretty well occupied, especially with sports, because both children are involved in that. It's been a pleasure getting to know Andrea, and a lot of you know one of her fellow members from First Commonwealth Bank, Esteban Calle. And I just want to say they bring a lot of language skills to our club, because Andrea is a French speaker, and of course Esteban is a Spanish speaker. So I think we could have 2 tables set up for language here. I know we were trying to do that. Andrea is really looking forward to what Rotary has to offer in terms of community service opportunities. She has a number of hobbies, but particularly music, and I have to say you have a beautiful singing voice. So I think Steve King or others may be recruiting you. But I just want to say we're very happy that Andrea is joining our club. Please join me in welcoming her with a round of applause.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a really great honor and privilege to introduce Don Cachman as one of the newest members of Club 17. I've known Don for, it'll be 46 years this fall. We entered the University of Cincinnati's MBA program in the fall of '76, and we have been incredibly close since, so much so that 40 years ago he was my best man when I got married. And he did get his MBA from UC, and went on to a great career in corporate America at such stalwarts as NCR, Altel, Faro, and most recently, General Cable. His 3 kids all live in Southern California, which is kind of sad for Don that he doesn't get to see him as much as he'd like. His granddaughter lives in Southern Cal, but it's a great family, and Don will be a wonderful member. Should add that in 1989, Don earned his Chartered Financial Analyst certification, and I'll brag on Don. No disrespect to any accountants out there, but I think getting that CFA certification is probably as hard or harder than getting certified as a public accountant. But he's been sort of my investment guru over all these years, and I think will be a wonderful member. Wants to get involved, no more, kind of reacquaint himself with the city through Rotary, and again, adhere to the motto of service above self. So my pleasure to introduce Don Cachman.
I think it was safe to wait for them to go down the steps before I hit them there to make sure. So I got the pleasure to introduce Eric Walker, Mr. Eric Walker. He is an executive director at Lincoln Heights Outreach, Inc., located in the village of Lincoln Heights. In this role, Mr. Walker began his tenure at LHOI in July of 2021. Through his time with LHOI, he has began his work and focus on growth and dynamic achievement in the community, which LHOI provides services to residents in Zone 15, which I was interested by this. I didn't know all this was covered in Zone 15. Lincoln Heights, Laughlin, Redding, Woodlawn, Wyoming, and Evendale. So he currently holds a bachelor's degree in organizational management from Wilberforce University, located in Wilberforce, Ohio. Eric is no stranger to the greater Dayton area, has spent a number of years in community activism within the city of Dayton, a board member of the Dayton Access Television Network, where he is chair and nominating committee, other boards, membership groups, Wesley Community Center, Sankofa Group, Dayton Unit 3808, NAACP, Miami Valley Human Resources, and a number of other boards. Specializing in marketing and social media presentation, coaching, multicultural awareness, board leadership training, human resources, and nonprofit leadership. He is passionate about today's youth and possibilities within what awaits them, which we have a number of committees I'd like to introduce you to with the youth. He is a proud dad of Siberian Husky Rascal. He's 5 years old. And his favorite quote is from Bishop T.D. Jakes: "When you begin to realize that your past does not necessarily dictate the outcome of your future, then you can release the hurt. It is impossible to inhale new air until you exhale the old." Please give a warm welcome to Rotary to Mr. Eric Walker.
Next, we will have an announcement by Doug Bolton regarding our signature Rotary Scentsy Due Days upcoming project.
Thank you, President Melinda. So Scentsy Due Days, you've heard us talk a little bit about it, but just want to drive in your head exactly what it is and 2 calls of action. You won't remember anything I say except for maybe 2 things. So I'm going to do the calls for action first. That is, Scentsy Due Days is October 22nd. That's National Make a Difference Day. The program is bringing Rotarians together with volunteers all across the city to do good work around a number of projects. The second call to action is around the projects. If you serve on the board of a nonprofit that could benefit from hundreds of volunteers, Rotarians helping that nonprofit, please reach out to myself or Susan Wilkerson. So again, Scentsy Due Days, October 22nd. If you serve on the board of a nonprofit and would like to have that nonprofit engaged in Scentsy Due Days, reach out to me. What are the big goals of Scentsy Due Days? Number 1, publicity, notification. We do great service projects, 30 to 60 a year, but the concept behind this is to get the community aware of Rotary Club of Cincinnati. Second goal is nobody is doing this in our community. Nobody is bringing together all volunteers, all Rotarians for a citywide day of service. That's the second goal. The third goal is attract new members. We want to let volunteers in this community know what Rotarians are about and have them join. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Doug. And you've heard from our president-elect who actually the national anthem, he directed that for us. And our president nominee is Doug Bolton. So right behind me, you have our president-elect and president nominee. Let's give them both a round of applause. This meeting today is sponsored by Stepping Stones. So we really appreciate Stepping Stones being the meeting sponsor today. We have several members of our club who are part of Stepping Stones: Chris Adams, Karen Martin, and Kelly Crow. So let's give Stepping Stones a round of applause for sponsoring our meeting today. And Christie's just put their logo up there. And we have several members with birthdays. As I mentioned to you last week or the week before that, we will be doing things just a little differently. So we will have the members' birthdays up on the screen. So you will see them up there. So let's give a round of applause for our Rotarian birthdays. And that there was an email sent out regarding Julian Mangus, that his address was in that email because cards are welcomed with him. He is in a rehab facility at Twin Lakes, and I think Michael Schatzman sent that email out. So cards are welcome to Julian, as he just had a slight accident where he's healing from and is in rehab 6 days a week. So visits are not recommended, but cards are welcomed. Next, we will have Split the Pot. And I'll have Interim Chief Thigi do the drawing of the ticket. And before we draw the ticket, the accumulating pot this week is $1,682. The first winning ticket pulled, the winner would be able to get $55. That's the first ticket pull, and everybody can participate in the first ticket pull. Eligible for the accumulating pot will be Club 17 members. So the ticket draw. Thank you. The last four digits are 4875. 4875. Bob McElroy. $4,875. He will be pulling for the Queen of Hearts. Four clubs. How many cards are left, Christy? Oh. So we have, what, about 8 or 10 cards left? 14, 15 cards left. Okay. All right. So we'll look next week. We'll get ready for the pot next week. Congratulations, Bob, on that win. In the family of Rotary, last week we congratulated Bob Ballot, Karen Hilton, and Dave Carlin on their college children's graduations. We'd also like to congratulate Rotarian Jeff Weir on the graduation of his daughter, Nicole, from Furman University. I think Jeff is here today. Congratulations, Jeff, with the rest of them. Furman Palladians. We will have a hands-on service project on Saturday. Dr. Huck sent that email message out. We will be at Camp Allen, so if you can join. He says as many Rotarians as possible. We have work that we can be doing on Saturday, so please contact Hucks and let him know that you will be coming from 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock at Camp Allen. We have a few meetings this afternoon at 1:30. We have the Hands-On Service Committee, which will be meeting in boardroom 4 on the mezzanine level. And the Board of Directors, we have our meeting today in the Julep Room on the 3rd floor. And we have a full agenda today, so if we could expeditiously make it to that meeting at 1:30, it would be great. Thank you. Next week, we will have the Wally Emmerling Day, so that's a really exciting time. Wally Emmerling was a very substantial man in our club and the things that he did. He was just one for us to emulate, and that will be the meeting on next week. So without further ado, we will have the Michael Villardo to introduce our program today. Michael?
Thank you, President Melinda. When I was a sophomore in college, just a few years ago, the university I attended in Indiana, the sociology class would come to Cincinnati and ride around with the Cincinnati police officers through the night. I jumped at the opportunity. I was going to come back home. I grew up in Cincinnati and did that, and I vividly remember riding with a police officer through the night. It was back in the day, if some of you remember, police officers often drove station wagons, and they doubled as ambulances. There were different things that happened. But I remember screaming down Gilbert Avenue with this police officer, and he pulled over the car. Other officers pulled up as well, and he got out, and they were going into an apartment building on Gilbert. There was a domestic dispute of some kind, and he said, "Well, come on, that's why you came. This is why you came." And I said, "No thanks, I'm going to stay here. You let me know what happens whenever you come back." And I realized at that point I wasn't made of the right stuff to be one of these police officers. But when I was a pastor in Middletown for 12 years, I did become chaplain for the Middletown Police Department and rode around with police officers for quite a number of years there and got to know much of the work and the challenges of the officers. So it's a great day, and I'm glad that we can have you all here and we can celebrate this day and this week. Some of you Rotarians may know, but I'm sure that those who are seated in front of us are very aware that this is National Law Enforcement Week. And we're grateful we can have you all with us during this week, set aside to show appreciation to members of your profession. And it's always good for us when we can welcome an organization that exemplifies the very same foundational principles of Rotary, that is, service above self. It's a great day to do so when across the nation we pause to express gratitude for those who serve to protect and to keep peace. Now, for at least 17 years, the Cincinnati Rotary Club number 17 has invited, welcomed, and honored members of the Cincinnati Police Department who demonstrate service above self in a myriad of ways. So we welcome you, Chief Thigi, and members of your department. And the interim chief told me just a little while ago that in 2005, she was the recipient of one of these awards. So welcome back. Just this past week, I was listening to a local radio program that was discussing law enforcement in Hamilton County. And in that report, the host pointed out that there are 45 law enforcement agencies in Hamilton County. Did you know that? There are 45 different law enforcement agencies in this county. In my mind, that just added to the many challenges and the daunting responsibilities of the largest of those agencies in the county. And for those of us who live in Cincinnati and those who regularly come into the city, we can be proud of CPD and the model for policing that developed from the collaborative agreement 20 years ago, celebrated just this year, 20 years ago. Other police departments, as all of you know, have modeled programs after our department. And we have a gem in our city, and on this day, we want to celebrate who you are. I want to take a moment and thank Lieutenant Robinson, who is seated at this table. She's been my main contact. She's great to work with. She's helped us move through this whole process. So thank you very much for all the work that you put into making this day. And now I'd like to introduce you to Interim Police Chief Teresa Thigi. Sounds like Fiji, she told me. The interim police chief has been with the Cincinnati Police Department for over 30 years. In 2016, she was promoted to assistant chief, and in 2020 assumed the role of the executive officer. In February of 2022, she was named the interim police chief, the first female to hold this position. Congratulations.
Thank you.
She now commands a department of over 1,000 sworn members and 120 civilian staff. Throughout her career, she has had a multitude of assignments at varying ranks. She's experienced in patrol and investigative assignments, as well as inspections and audits and internal investigations. Her experience as a member of the command staff include Night Chief, District 1 Patrol, Central Vice Control, Internal Investigation, and Criminal Investigations. It sounds like you know what goes on in the department. During her time with the Cincinnati Police Department, she also attended Xavier University, where she completed her bachelor's degree in liberal arts with a concentration in organizational leadership and her master's degree in human resource development. She's a graduate of the following law enforcement programs: Southern Police Institute, Police Executive Leadership College, Law Enforcement Executive, Senior Management Institute in Policing, and the FBI's National Executive Institute. She's a graduate of the Cincinnati Chamber of Commerce's Women Excel and our program and Leadership Cincinnati. Now to the important stuff. She and her husband, Bob, reside in Miami Township, and they have 4 adult children and 8 grandchildren. And they all live within 5 minutes, she says, so it's a wonderful. Please welcome our police chief, Teresa Thigi.
Thank you very much, Michael. I was telling Michael before we sat down for lunch, and thank you very much for the lunch, it was delicious, that throughout the year, the police department is extremely fortunate to have opportunities to nominate some of our officers for different awards. But I will tell you, the Rotary Club Award is probably the most coveted, the most competitive, and it's the one that everybody wants to receive. So kudos to you guys for making that opportunity available for us. I will tell you, as we start to announce the award winners, several of them could not be here with us today for different medical reasons and such. However, their commanders are here to accept on their behalf, and I can assure you that the awards will be presented to them personally by their commanders with the same enthusiasm and gratitude that I see here today. So thank you for that. Okay, we'll start with the Administrative Excellence Award. This is going to go to Sergeant Stefanie Torlop. Sergeant Torlop was hired by the Cincinnati Police Department in 1998. During her career, she served in a variety of capacities, including personal crimes, internal investigations, and then helping to build Cincinnati's first iteration of a fusion and homeland security unit. When assigned to the planning unit in 2014, her breadth of policing knowledge, along with her intelligence, creativity, education, and an exceptional work ethic, made her shine in a role that could be a troubleshooter 1 hour, a policy writer the next, and a researcher the third. She has excelled in her role as a research and planning sergeant. She has assigned the most complex and longest-term projects in which the department is involved in. Sergeant Torlap tracked the police department's COVID response efforts, monitoring and explaining to the rest of the department how changes on both the local and national levels in the medical and political environments would impact policing. She has been on the implementation team and written the policies and training material, leading the department's shift to an online payroll system. Her willingness to work, coupled with her abilities and organization skills, means she has been pulled into the most involved projects the department tackles. And I can tell you I've personally tapped into her for her expertise in many, many projects. She organized the department's response to several United States presidential inaugurations and has organized all the material for the after-action reports on the 2020 protest. Sergeant Torlop's abilities have not gone unnoticed outside of Cincinnati. She was recruited in 2022 by the International Association of Law Enforcement Planners to serve on their board as staff vice president. Sergeant Torlop represents the best of the administrators in the Cincinnati Police Department, and for these reasons, was awarded the Rotary Club of Cincinnati's award in the administrative area. And her captain, Sergeant Joe Richardson, is here today to accept the award on her behalf. Yes, Sergeant Torlop woke up this morning not feeling well, so she's not in the office today. Our next award is kind of unique. So we have 2 award winners for the Career Enhancement Award. And I don't know that this has ever happened before. We have Sergeant Ryan Smith on this side and Officer Christina Smith on this side, and they are brother and sister. Okay, so Sergeant Ryan Smith has been with the Cincinnati Police Department since 1998 and has been a sergeant since 2010. Sergeant Smith joined the Information Technology Management section in 2016. So as you can see, with Sergeant Torlop's award and Sergeant Smith's and Officer Smith's award, we do more than just policing. Sergeant Smith is extremely instrumental in our IT programs. He was moved to the ITMS to assist in the research and evaluation of starting a body-worn camera program for the Cincinnati Police Department. when the department created a body-worn camera team to bring a program to CPD. Because of his proven dedication, enthusiastic demeanor, and willingness to learn, Sergeant Smith was added to the team. Fast forward to today, and the Cincinnati Police Department not only has body-worn cameras, but it also has tasers, signal sidearm, in-car video, and much more. We are in the process of replacing the aging employee tracking system, creating a records management system, interaction with our citizens through apps or on smartphones, and other technological needs for our personnel. Sergeant Smith has been involved in most, if not all, the research and implementation of these systems. He is the department's guru when it comes to creating cases in our new standard systems. He has helped make CPD a model agency for the Axon products. And I will tell you, many, many law enforcement departments across the country look to Cincinnati to see how we're doing things in this area. Besides the above technology achievements, Sergeant Smith has consistently documented and recorded all his research, testing, processes, etc., so that it is available to everyone. He has helped with records requests, sat on panels, given presentations to city management and command staff. He's taught classes to department personnel about the proper ways to use the technology. One additional thing that Sergeant Smith brings to the job each day is his willingness to make everyone around him a better person. He has become a mentor, confidant, and friend to many of the people at ITMS and beyond. Sergeant Smith, we found him to be a detailed-oriented person, a person that likes to get things done, and one who is always willing to share his knowledge and enthusiasm. I would like to nominate, and obviously Sergeant Smith is here today, to receive one of two of the Career Enhancement Awards.
Thank you. Next to you.
I guess I should ask, Ryan, do you have any comments you'd like to say?
I'm all good, Chief. Thank you.
Hi. And now for the better half of the Smith family. Okay, Officer Christina Smith. Officer Smith currently works in the police records section and serves in various capacities. As the body-worn camera coordinator, see the connection? She manages each records request and ensures that all associated videos are linked to the appropriate computer-aided dispatch call. Officer Smith tirelessly searches for any orphaned videos that are of value but unattached to any particular radio run. This task is vital to ensure the department is in compliance with public records laws. Officer Smith regularly meets with leadership to offer her ideas for continuous improvement and processes. Her counsel is much needed and very much appreciated. Officer Smith is considered the subject matter expert for linking and coordinating body-worn camera videos. Often she is called to court to testify on behalf of the department due to her expertise. The senior command staff has asked Officer Smith to sit in on meetings regarding the most important or most challenging body-worn camera tasks, including the 2020 body-worn camera civil unrest project. Officer Smith played a major role in the newly implemented primary-only process improvement. This successful effort was designed to streamline the process and become more responsive to prosecutors by providing the most critical body-worn camera videos within days versus weeks. Record section recent success is due in large part to Officer Smith's commitment to excellence. Officer Smith is invaluable to the Cincinnati Police Department because of her dedication and professionalism, and that's why she's receiving the Career Enhancement Award as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I just want to mention that the things that Sergeant Smith and Officer Smith have done are so critical, because I don't think many people realize the body-worn camera project for any police department, the easy part is putting the cameras on the cops. The hard part is the back end and all the work that needs to be done for that. And oftentimes departments will go away from their body camera project because they did not plan for that heavy lift on the back end. So, okay, our next one is Superior Achievement. And Officer Steve Batsch from our narcotics unit was getting this award. He had some medical procedures and is unable to be here. Specialist Batsch is currently assigned to the Cincinnati Police Department's narcotics unit and has dedicated a significant portion of his 27-year career to the investigation and dismantling of major drug trafficking organizations in the city of Cincinnati. Over the course of his career, Specialist Batsch has cemented himself as a valued asset and informal leader within the narcotics unit. His hard work and leadership have been indispensable to the unit. His problem-solving approach to investigations and his willingness to learn new skills continuously exceeds department expectations. The value he has added to the narcotics unit over the years has helped it reach new levels of productivity and success. Specialist Batsch is a consummate professional. His distinct ability to identify and investigate major drug trafficking organizations has been developed and honed over the course of his many years in the narcotics unit. As retirement edges closer and closer for Specialist Batsch, he has taken the opportunity to share his knowledge by mentoring newer members of the narcotics unit. Specialist Batsch perfectly balances dedication to his own investigations with the mentoring and training of younger members in the narcotics unit. His steadfast dedication in imparting the wisdom he has gained over a long and successful career to younger officers will ensure the narcotics unit's success long after his retirement. It is for this reason that Specialist Batsch is earning the Superior Achievement Award. And to accept it on his behalf is his lieutenant, Lieutenant Ryan Hudson. Okay, the last award we have here today is also two recipients that were unable to be here. And this is the Valor and Hero Award. And we love nominating officers for different categories so that all of their work goes noticed, even if they're administrative type of functionality and not patrol or operations. But when it comes to a Valor or Hero Award, we take extreme amount of pride in recognizing something that an officer did to maybe save a life or another officer's life. So these are extremely important to us. On December 22nd, 2021, Police Officer Marvin Collins and Police Officer Kyle Smith responded for a domestic violence incident that occurred in the area of 2370 Sunny Hill Drive. During their investigation, Officer Smith located a 5-month-old male infant that was unresponsive. Officer Collins immediately called for the Cincinnati Fire Department to respond, and Officer Smith started CPR on the infant. Officer Collins and Officer Smith continued CPR until fire personnel arrived and transported the infant to Cincinnati Children's Medical Center. Officer Collins and Officer Smith continued their investigation, where they encountered and arrested Mr. Dante Ferrier, a 19-year-old male, for domestic violence. Officer Smith and Collins asked Shakayla Sams, mother of the infant, and Dante Ferrier, they had Shantea Sams, mother of the infant, and Dante Ferrier transported to the criminal investigation section for further investigation into the welfare of the unresponsive infant and his 2-year-old sibling, who was also located in the residence. On December 22nd, 2021, the infant succumbed to his injuries at Children's Hospital. It was determined during the medical evaluation of the 2-year-old child that he was so malnourished he was near death and considered to be in critical condition. Officer Smith and Officer Collins are deserving of commendations based on their life-saving efforts to revive the infant and their actions on scene, which resulted in the arrest of Dante Ferrier and Shaquela Sams, who were ultimately charged with murder. Their actions also saved the life of the 2-year-old child who received emergency medical care and survived. It is for this reason that Officer Collins and Officer Smith are deserving of the VALOR Hero Award. And to accept the award on their behalf is Captain Dave Johnston, their District 3 commander. So like I said, we truly, truly appreciate you giving us an opportunity to recognize some of our officers' efforts, and I do assure you that the awards will be given to those not here today with a great amount of gratitude. I've done this once before when Chief Isaac was unable to be here, and took an opportunity to use a few minutes. If you guys have any questions, maybe about the award recipients or law enforcement or policing in Cincinnati in general, I'm happy to answer them. Yes, sir. Absolutely. I'm glad to hear you ask that question, because when Michael mentioned it, I was going to tell people, we encourage citizens to ride with our police officers. His question was if we still offer ride-along opportunities. That's what we call them, a ride-along. Yes, we do. We highly encourage those for the citizens to come in and experience a day, a shift with an officer. You can even pick and choose what district and what hours you want to ride. We absolutely encourage that. Yes, ma'am.
Refresh that you find especially promising?
So I think first thing I find promising, oh, sorry. If you didn't hear, she was asking me about the collaborative agreement refresh and what parts do we find promising. I think the first thing people in Cincinnati need to recognize, first of all, we're the one and only department that has such an agreement. We've had it for 20 years, and we are still using it as our primary way of determining how to police the city of Cincinnati. And so I think some of the parts that I find the most promising are, I was involved a little bit 20 years ago, not as much as I am today, but there was some contentious relationships during the authoring of the collaborative agreement between the police department and the community. I don't see that contentious relationship anymore. I see it much more as a partnership. Both sides recognize the value of the collaborative agreement, and both sides come to the table willingly to discuss how we do things. Yes, sir.
Chief, could you comment on traffic control? It seems that our streets are out of control. Cars are driving as fast as I've ever seen. We've got lots of bike lanes. I know the staff is maybe not as manned as you'd like, but, and second thing, maybe you could send us pictures of the winners today who were not here, and they could share that with our office.
Absolutely. I believe one of your members here today was taking some photos as well, but oh, okay, I see what you're saying, the ones who were not here. I understand. Sorry about that. So as for traffic enforcement, I couldn't agree with you more. I oftentimes, when I'm not in uniform or not in a police vehicle, which I don't get in anymore, but the blatant disregard for things like a stop sign or a traffic signal seems to be at an all-time high, at least from what I remember. And so we do have a very well-trained, well-versed traffic unit that go out and do a lot of that patrol work for us. We also have some within the districts that do that. And at this point, it becomes a delegation of resources, you know, who is going to concentrate on what. And right now in the city of Cincinnati, violent crime is a very, very significant area that we're concentrating on. But traffic enforcement also has to be done. And so our traffic numbers are down from years past. Some of that is a good thing, but some of it is work that we still have to do. So I totally agree with you. I don't know why people feel today emboldened to just kind of look around and blow right through an intersection on a red light. I couldn't imagine doing that. I just couldn't imagine doing it myself. So duly noted that you also are noting the uptick in traffic violations, and we will continue to concentrate some efforts there with that.
How you doing, Chief?
Yes, sir.
I have small children, and I always mess with my son to tell him I'm gonna drop him off at the police department, make him work over there to see how things are. But do you have any like programs that you recommend for like smaller children, for them to get acclimated with the police, and then just if they want to be a police officer, things that they can, programs they can get involved with as a younger child?
Yeah, so as very young children, like elementary school age, we really don't have any formal programs. We have some informal. You're more than welcome to reach out to your local district captain or neighborhood liaison officers are a great resource for things like that. They're more than welcome to come in, interact with an officer for a little bit, see some of the tools that the officers use. You start talking about middle school and high school, we have a lot of programming for children in that area. We have a cadet program, explorer program. We are working right now to try to stand up an apprenticeship program because you cannot be a police officer until the age of 21, and so oftentimes we lose them between the 18 and 21 age range. So we're trying to work on something with the city to keep them engaged during those years. So yeah, we have a lot of programming going on, but one thing, if you could remember, the police department, it's your police department. So you have every right, and I would encourage you, if you have a young child that you just want them to say hello to an officer, feel free to stop an officer on the street. Feel free to go into your local police district and just tell them what you're there to do. You want to have them have a positive experience with an officer. That being said, you guys might be the first group to know about this, but we're about to kick off a photo contest with the Cincinnati Reds in partnership with the Reds, where we are encouraging people to take positive photos with law enforcement, and we're going to put those out on social media. Oftentimes, the only video or pictures people see is when somebody takes a camera out when they think an officer's doing something wrong, so we're going to try and change that narrative a little bit. So if you see an officer on the street, absolutely ask them if you can stop, take a photo, and submit it to the photo contest. Yes, sir. Shot spotter.
How has that worked out, and what's the cost, what's the benefit? Do you see that going in?
Yeah, so we rolled that out probably about 5 years ago, I think, and we started small in just a couple neighborhoods, and we have added more and more neighborhoods to it. It is a heavy lift financially. We spend about $1 million a year on shot spotter technology. It is reliable. It's not perfect, but it's reliable. One of the things that we often tell people they need to remember, it is simply an investigative tool. The officers, something they can use. It's technology, like we talked about earlier, and it's technology that the officers can use when they want to go back and find out where a shot was fired. They should be looking for shell casings. They should be looking for bullet fragments. They should be talking to people in the community. And we recently stood up a crime gun intelligence center in Cincinnati, which could be a whole long conversation. We're the first one in the state of Ohio, and ShotSpotter is very integral in their investigations. We're working more on the quality of arrests that we're making for people with guns versus the quantity. We want to get the shooters off the streets, and so the ShotSpotter is a huge piece of those investigations.
Just one quick question. What are you doing about the violent crime? It seems like sometimes the repeat offenders, it's a small group that are committing a lot of violent crime. What can you do about that?
So right into the Crime Gun Intelligence Center. So if you think about the Crime Gun Intelligence Center we have a large number of Cincinnati police officers and Cincinnati police supervisors in the unit. We also have partners in there with us, the ATF officers and supervisor. We have a U.S. attorney, a prosecutor from the U.S. Attorney's Office there, a prosecutor from Joe Dieter's office is there. We have analysts and many more. Their job is to take that fired incident and work the case. And what we have already found, they've really only been up and running since about January. What we're already seeing is the tremendous amount of connections that they are making from one incident to the next. And part of their investigative tools that they use there is it's called NIBIN. It's like fingerprinting for bullets and for cartridges from a gunshot. And so they are able to link one shot to the next. It's a very complicated piece of technology, but they can test fire a gun, and then they can tell, based on what's in the system, if that gun has been used elsewhere here in Cincinnati or anywhere across the country. And so they are oftentimes able to link 3, 4, 5 incidents to one individual, because it's the very, very small amount of individuals that create 90% of our violence in our city. So if we can just get those few people off the streets, you'll see a reduction in our city. And on top of that, each of the district commanders, and Captain Johnston's here today, each of the district commanders about a month ago were given a pot of what we call PBO money. It's overtime money for the officers. The captains are charged with looking at the data in their districts, telling us where their violence is, and then they take that overtime money and they put their resources, their officers in that area, and then they have to continually evaluate, okay, where's the violence now? Did you make a difference there? Was the money that's spent, did we get a return on our investment? And so they are also constantly looking at that. The data, we are an extremely data-driven agency now. We've come so far over the last 5-6 years when it comes to looking at the data, and so that's what we do to address violent crime.
Thank you very much. And we have one question from Zoom. Just one, if you could give just a brief response. We want to make sure our Zoom members are included as well. Deborah Schultz had asked a question about if you could respond to the turnover rate in the department and also COVID protocols. Just very briefly.
Yes. So our turnover rate, officers can work 25 years and then they're eligible for a pension. They have an opportunity to stay longer if they choose for a maximum of 8 years. What we see is we see lumps of turnover, and it's based on what the city's hiring practice was 25 years ago. For example, when I came on, I was the second class in 1 year. So the class before me is retiring and my class is set to retire. And so the city has to, the police department and the city has to start thinking about replacing those. The problem we're running into is there are much, much fewer people interested in getting into law enforcement than there were 20, 30 years ago. And so that is a challenge for us. We're trying to revamp our recruiting efforts to do that. And then as far as the COVID protocol, so when COVID first hit, that was a daunting task to try to figure out how to maintain a police department during a pandemic. And we tried everything we possibly could to keep our officers safe and healthy. The city was tremendous in giving us whatever we asked for to get the job done, because you know we can't work from home, so they had to come to work every day. And so we've just everything, mask. We don't mandate vaccination, but we encourage vaccination. Most of those protocols now have been rolled back, as the city rolled back theirs, and as the CDC rolled back some of their guidelines. And so we're pretty much back to normal now.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Interim Chief Thigi. We would like to present you with a theme pin for the Rotary Club, Rotary International this year, Serve to Change Lives, which is exactly what you do. Let's give them another round of applause on all the recipients. We have 2 meetings again this afternoon, 1:30, Hands-on Service Committee in the boardroom 4 on the mezzanine level, and the Board of Directors meeting in the Julep Room. And next week, our meeting will be Wally Emmerling Day. So thank you so very much for coming today. Make it a great week. Meeting adjourned.